City going 1.125 miles, 2 starts back, which also I don't think Cinderella's Cause wants any part of.
I agree. And spoken out, Kitty obviously found herself a little bit tough against Sterling Silver, but it's people are waving. Must be very big fans of yours, Acacia. There they are. The leaders of the Acacia Lamont fan club are coming in right now. Acacia will be signing autographs all day long wherever she is. Yeah, I have no knock on her. I went 3-1. You went 1-3. I'm not married to either one of
No,
them. I
I
just
agree.
was kind of hoping the 3 was a little bit better. I mean, Echo and Eternity got the money last time. It just seems like the others really have to step up and hope both of these horses don't show up.
Agreed.
Not that likely. Race number 3 is an interesting race, and Midnight Mile is the horse to beat for Chad Brown. There's no denying it. We'll show her loss last time. She's a bit of a handful. I mean, Irad Ortiz sort of had some trouble with her, kind of getting between horses and
She was
trying to get out.
very nervous in her first race here in the States, too. She seems like she's a tricky horse to be around and to ride and to settle.
It's funny, Chad Brown came up, and Maggie and I were hanging out on Sunday, and we were talking. He came by, and we were talking about her a little bit. And obviously, she's the horse to beat, and he liked her. But he said, that's what you're saying. She can be a little tricky.
Yeah.
And that's a problem, because she's 9 to 5 morning line. Are we sure she's going to be that short? I mean, that high? I thought she might even be shorter.
I think that she'll be quite short in here.
Let's see. Flavien Prat coming off a bad week, by the way. I believe he was 1 for 22 last week.
How dare he?
I know. I think both he and Manny had off weeks.
Yeah.
Tyler Gaffleone was 10 for 29 last week with a 215 ROI.
Amazing.
And to win at that high a percentage, and for his ROI to be as low as it was, what it really says is his agent, Matt Musiker, is putting him on the right horses, and he's riding them the right way. And he really had a great week. And I guess he's tied or 1 ahead of Flavien in second now?
Was 1 ahead, I believe, with the force picking up the 4-star Dave would put him 1 ahead.
And if you're wondering where Irad Ortiz is, he's serving what I think is an unjust suspension for 3 days. He will not be riding today, tomorrow, and Friday. And I don't know why he got suspended for that. I thought it was a legit DQ, but all DQs are not alike. But anyway, he won't be here, and everyone will try to catch up some ground, but obviously the two of them and Dylan Davis, who's been having the meet of a lifetime. And here, you're trying to beat this horse with Immensitude. And we'll look at the race where Blissful finished second and Immensitude finished third at Keeneland back in April, and I'll let you talk about her.
She was the favorite coming in, and I can understand. She just won a Group 3 in France and was facing Allowance Company in Kentucky, so I can certainly understand that. She finished third, I thought, kind of running in place a bit that time. But last time out, she went into the Mint Julep, and that was a course at Churchill that was listed as yielding. It's a funky turf course that I think some horses just don't handle at all. She stumbled a little bit that day as well. She just looked like she couldn't quicken over that turf course.
Completely.
You know,
she ran so badly, it doesn't make sense.
She did. I think that she has a little bit more class than that. I was hoping she'd be a bit of a price in here, and I know that she has certainly not given much as a vote of confidence in her 2 races in the state so far, but I think that she has some excuses, so I wanted to take a shot with her.
Yeah, I kind of put Blissful in front of her, thinking getting back to a firm course might help her chances.
I
she
agree
finished
with
ahead
that.
of her, and I thought she was somewhat dangerous, but I'm not against any of these horses, because I don't think that Midnight Mile has to win. And I'm being honest, I like Not So Close. Not So Close is a horse that's going to haunt me forever, because Not So Close, August 17th was the day last year where I had an extremely good day handicapping, and I had picked her second, and she was one of 2 winners that I missed. And I had really thought about putting her on top, and she was a big price.
She
And
beat
I was
Chili Flag
originally
that
going to,
day.
right, I was originally going to put her second in here, and I thought, you know what? I'm not letting her win without me, and I'm hoping she's the main speed in here. And I thought her last race at Churchill was actually pretty good, and I thought an effort like that could absolutely win this race.
No, I agree. And also, if you go and watch that race at Churchill, she was acting up in the gate a lot, too. She was kind of trying to rear up a little bit and then took a few stutter steps and kind of had to rush up as well. So hopefully she could be a little bit more settled in here today. But, yeah, I think she's just quicker early than 30 Thou Kelvin. So I think that's to her benefit as well. I'm certainly not against her in this spot either.
30 Thou Kelvin's on my list.
Why?
I bet Root Cause at 19 to 1 in the Virginia Oaks, and she beat her last year. I'm still mad at her. And Trevor, race number 4. I thought race number 4 was an interesting maiden race. And we'll start with Lord I Wonder and show the start. For people wondering what happened to start, I didn't show the head on, but she ducks in badly. It's not as though, she didn't really get left as badly. She jumped up a little bit, but mostly it was a function of her ducking in badly. Am I wrong? She's a big horse.
She is. So I was in the paddock for her race, and I wrote down that she was fit enough, but I was worried about debuting at 7 furlongs with the rail, and probably wanted to go a little bit longer.
So she gets
So
the rail
that's what
again.
she gets. She gets the rail again, but now she has a race under her belt, and this was the race where it was all kind of surrounding Chanteuse, who was a very short price, and you did see Reliable Lady upsetting, and outside there in the blue cap is Lord I Wonder, who was closing. I thought that it was a pretty educational debut for her. It's hard to debut at 7 furlongs when you had others who had experience in there. And all things considered, I thought she ran quite well. I wish she didn't have the rail again, but
I
I do
agree.
like the mile.
No, I'm with
Yeah.
you that I think she's a major player. I put her second in here. There's two Chad Browns in here. You have taken one. I have taken the
Yep.
other one. Talk about Helsia.
Well, first of all, the main reason is I'm a little concerned about the stretch out for cost containment. And Helsia comes in off of a layoff. I certainly have no problems with distance with her. Now, look, she was second last time out and then followed up by a layoff. We see her not coming back for a long time. Catherine Wheel was 3 to 5 that day, and she was kind of second best. But watching her workouts, she's had great energy training in the mornings, and I've just really liked what I saw from her. Yes, she is off the layoff, but like I said, I trust she can get the distance.
Yeah, no, listen. I mean, she was running a race last time that makes her a player in this
Yes.
race, and if she has any routine improvement, she's kind of the horse to beat. I may have gone the wrong one. My thing about cost containment was the cost containment was wide last time, and I
Yep.
really think you wanted to be inside, and that race was
She
dominated
has a broke on
inside.
top and then
Yeah,
shuffled
and
back.
so
Yeah.
I feel as though she ran a lot better than it looks in there with that figure. She gets a switch to Joel Rosario, obviously, which is not a bad situation. Why do you have a problem with her getting a mile?
I thought that she looks more like a sprinter, and
Okay.
she's a half to drill. And so
It's a very
obviously
fast horse
very
that
fast horse.
Looked
He's
good and
best.
didn't go anywhere, right?
Right. He started out so good and then just never really
Killer.
materialized. They ran him on the turf a bunch of times. I was looking through his past performances. He was best on synthetic, but definitely much more of a sprinter.
So I feel like Islander's a horse that's going to take a lot of money in this race, and is the co-second choice on the line. And if you like to bet horses that I don't like, then send it in on Islander. I mean, I know this was a first start at 7, but
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it's Steve. She's a gun runner. She can improve with the distance. What are we supposed to like of this race? She got a good trip. She made a move, and she couldn't sustain her bid, and she got passed from behind. These are the kind
Yeah.
of horses I never like going forward. So
I
if you
thought
don't,
she
you
was
like them
very
better when I don't
flat.
like them, go for it.
I know. I thought she was very flat on debut. And it's interesting. I mean, she costs 1.5 million, so I think that's going to pique some attention already. She's by Gun Runner. The Dam is the sister to Time in Motion, who's a Grade 1 winner, but turf. And there is
Jimmy Toner.
there is very good horse. There is also there's just a little bit more turf overall in the pedigree. She was recently training with Extra Anejo, who's a 4-year-old colt, just finished 4th in graded stake, and she was largely outworked by him, but overall keeping up. But I don't know. I just didn't really know what to make of her to trust her in here.
I just liked other horses. I've got her 4th. You've got her 3rd. Yeah, I mean, maybe she'll improve with a race and with more distance. Interesting maiden
It
race
is.
in race number 4. We'll take also race 4 kicks off the pick 6 with that carryover of $107,000 plus dollars. Race number 5, the Susie O'Kane. I thought this was a really, really fun race, the
is.
Susie O'Kane. And let's start with the horse you have on top and the horse that I have second and you have 4th in Awesome Check and Boxed Wine.
Yes, Awesome Check got the win last time. I still can't believe, and I remember talking to Horacio de Palos that day, that she wasn't the favorite because it was her first time since her maiden win that she was coming back into New York bred company and had run pretty well against Open Stakes company prior to that. And the reason that I like her in this spot is that she's just more tactical than her stablemates. Horacio sending out 4 in here, and I thought that she was very game coming down the inside. Box Wine did close up the rail, but I just thought that the running style of Awesome Check, and I just loved what I saw from her last time, really made her a big player in here.
This is a funny race for me because I had bet both Boxed Wine and Money Grab last time.
I
I'm
know.
not
I
gonna-
remember you really liked Money Grab.
And I like Box
Yeah.
Wine as well, and I'm not sure. You know, Box Wine broke a little slow, obviously saved ground in there, but I just felt like Awesome Check just had better position the whole race. And overall, it's not that either of them had bad trips.
Yeah.
I just thought Awesome Check had the better trip of the two.
Yes.
And Box Wine's going to be a better price. So I prefer Box Wine of those two. Obviously, I have nothing against Awesome Check. She's extremely logical in this race. I have a question about this race. How the hell was Brock Nardini favored over Spaladay
I
and
don't
Lady
know.
DeBerry in that. I mean, a friend of mine said they'll just bet anything that Papa Lopez is riding at Monmouth.
I guess
It's one of the
so.
craziest. And a guy left a shirt for us and for me, thank you. And if she had won, I would have said they knew. Got my They Knew
That's
shirt.
great.
Appreciate this.
That is
I
awesome.
will be wearing this. Thank you very much.
I love that.
That's great.
That's
Yes, I
perfect.
think we have a new shirt.
Yeah.
It's one of the wackiest things ever.
Yeah.
Now, listen, I don't know that she was ever that good, but I guess she ran close to a 70 buyer as a 2-year-old. So, maybe if you pass in her last race, she's not impossible here, but she was awful in there.
She just always feels rather one pace to me.
Yeah. No,
know.
I don't disagree.
And she broke slowly last time, then she got really headstrong, and then he kept trying to get her to quicken, and she just never really did. And you always wonder with precocious 2-year-olds if they are going to take a step forward. Certainly, she can only go up from that last race.
The second choice in the line is Summer Whirl. Now, you've got Summer Whirl third. I didn't put her. I put her fifth.
Yeah.
I'm not saying she can't win,
No,
but
but
she's beating up on Autumn.
she is, and she just barely got there.
Yep.
And she probably should have won 2 back.
She probably should have, but she's also hasn't had bad trips in
No,
those races. She does
she
have a
hasn't.
closing burst, and it's Graham Motion. She has a right to get better, but at a short price, I'm not sure what's so appealing. Now, listen, I have a thing for Money Grab, and I'm sticking with Money Grab, and I want to show the beginning of the race because she's number 4 here, and she just doesn't really. I mean, she doesn't break that badly. It's just, and it wasn't Tyler. I mean, she just wasn't really motivated early, and she did save ground in there, but I'll tell you, I thought she ran very well in this race to get third overall, considering I know she saved ground, but she just feels like she was put a little behind the 8 ball.
Well, she was in between horses late, too. And you see in the short comment, toss head. She actually really didn't toss her head. It was because the 6 kind of came over on her
Right.
into the first turn, and she steadied back a little bit. She was already last. But right here is the pivotal point, I think, in the race for her, because the winner, Spinning Colors, got the jump on her. She's trying to accelerate and close
Between
in
horses.
between
Yeah.
horses, which some horses, and she's a very narrow type of frame as well. And especially some horses like that, they just can't kick on in such a compromising position.
And I've been sort of interested in her ever since her turf debut, where I thought she ran pretty well, and she just hasn't had particularly good trips in her races. Some of it's her own fault, but it's not her fault that she had the big wide trip 2 races back. And I just gotta give her another chance in here at a square price. So I like Money
agree.
Grab. But this is a fun race.
It
This
is
race
fun.
came up extremely competitive. We'll break, and we'll be back with the late pick 4.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
We're back. Acacia and Andy talking horses, late pick 4, the 6th race. I think we should start with the horse that you have on top. I'm trying to beat, and that's Kara's Dreamweaver, who I don't have a knock on her. I thought she ran very, very well last time to be second.
She really did. Now, look, she's going to be a relatively short price in here. She has the experience. She has the good race. She was beaten by She's Artiz, who'd worked quite well. I thought she closed well from the outside. Now, it was interesting. She was entered the other day going long on the turf, and that race was rained off. And I remember you and I were talking about kind of being against her going long because she was closing. So now she's back in and sprinting again. And so I'd be more willing to take her here going short with how well she closed going short on debut.
No argument with that. I'm just going to try to take other horses. One thing I'd say is that, and this isn't a knock on Mitch at all, Friedman, her trainer, is that Mitch isn't a trainer that's going to be saddling 6 to 5 shots.
Yeah.
So she'll probably be a better price than she
That's
should
fair.
be in
That's a
this
good
race.
point.
And she ran very well for Mitch, and there's no reason to think she can't do it again. So
Yeah.
I think she's probably a horse that, relative to her chances to win, and David's got her 4 to 1, and that's a very fair price on her. I went to the Clement horse because you pick against your family, and I'm here to support them. I'm there for you, Miguel.
Yes, you picked Carson's run on Sunday. Very good pick.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I was due. I loved Epping Forest, the dam of her.
Me too.
She's a half to Liar's Poker, who's been been
Yeah.
running well on the turf for them, and American Pharaoh. And I'm just a big fan of Epping Forest. And the horse is a very good turf sprinter. And I'm just hoping this is a runner for them. And I always like the Waterville Lake stable horses.
Absolutely. Annaskell, a village in Kerry, Ireland. You might remember there's Kerry, there's, Waterville, there's all kinds of names for their homebreds from that area. So, look,
At least we can
she's
pronounce
been,
this one.
yes, she's
Not
been
in
very
Gaelic.
professional in her training and doing everything right. And you mentioned Epping Forest. She was also precocious as well. She won it too, Epping Forest.
I thought the 4 Gatatiz could be dangerous. A Tis the Law, a Constitution, after 3 turf winners from 6 to try it.
A lot of them in the family were runners.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought this horse might be kind of a horse at a price that'll get overlooked. Disco Star will probably take a lot of money, half to Veterans Beach,
Yep.
as well as 5 turf winners for Mark Cassie, who's having just an out of this world. And even though it's not the Generazio not racing horses anymore, I still love seeing the Generazio.
Oh, I was just going to say that. It's a Generazio family, kind of the typical
full
on the
red.
bottom that, just everything that this mare's produced has been a runner.
No, I agree.
I think Veterans Beach is still running, too.
He is.
Yeah.
She ran in, is it here? He ran here. He's running in Tampa.
Yeah.
He's running in Monmouth. No, he is still running in here. Other horses. You have the 7 in there. I had her like
7 was
5th.
interesting.
Well,
Well, by
Dan
the
was good.
factor, which I love sprinting on the turf. The
Agreed.
dam was a 5-time turf winner. Brittany Russell's good with 2-year-olds, but 2-year-old first-time starters just 2 for 13, 7 for 13
But
in
she's
the
2
money.
for 6 in turf sprints.
Agreed. So that is fair. And then I love that this one also shipped here and had to work on the turf on the Oklahoma.
I think that horse is dangerous. Well, the 11 gets in for George Weaver, who's not having his normal big meet here.
Yeah.
There is some turf pedigree
is.
there. The $15,000 scared me, but
Yes.
I'm hearing about a horse horses sometimes get lost and sell for small prices, and you don't really know the story, and it's not indicative of whether or not they can run. Kicks off the late pick 4, race leg 3, and I think the question as we go through this is where do people lean in this pick 6 so far? Because I think the first leg. People may lean on Midnight Mile, but you and I are both going to try to beat her in there with different horses. The 4th, I'm sorry, that's the race before, excuse me. The 4th race, the 4th race, there's quite a few options in this race. Race 5, we have differing opinions in there. Race 6 is a tough race to lean on anybody unless you want to just put your eggs in the basket to start it. And I didn't think race number 7 got any easier. And one of the problems I had in race number 7 is the horse you and I have second, Fontana Freda, I think is a very logical horse.
Yes.
But for a trainer that has just horrendous numbers in Saratoga over the last 5 years. This is like 3 for 130-ish. They just don't run as well, but this is a horse that is dropping down that has nothing but efforts that can win this race. She's kind of the horse to beat,
I
isn't
think
she?
she is too. She ran very well. 2 starts back for 20,000 over at Aqueduct. She tried a little bit tougher last time. Junior Alvarado's riding today, dropping in for the 12.5. I agree. It's hard to knock her coming in this spot. I took a small shot against with the 6 Our Funny Business first off the claim for Linda Rice, but I agree that I think they kind of do all have to get around Fontana Freda.
And I've got her 3rd too, and my only premise with Our Funny Business is well, she's going to run better for Linda because she was awful last time against Meeker.
I agree.
Awful.
I agree. But the thing is that I think looking at the way that she ran last time and the way that she was running at Parks prior to that, sometimes it's tricky seeing them come in and how do they stack up. I kind of liked her in the paddock last time as well, so I'd be willing to give her another chance.
Oh, speed.
I know.
Listen, I've got her
I
3rd.
agree.
I'm not in
I
any.
agree.
I wouldn't leave her out of my play, but I worry about her.
It was
complete
hard
lack
for me.
of
It would be
speed.
hard for me to take a horse like you have on top.
Well,
who
it's not like I
never
picked a horse
wins.
that's exactly. No, I'm not. I'm not a knocker. Like I said, I picked
I
her horse
know.
3rd. I'm not going
know.
to be surprised if she wins. I'm not going to let her beat me
Yeah.
in there. It's just with Violent Vixen. I thought this was an interesting claim and a drop down. She had been in good enough form to win this race for Charlie Baker, and then she got claimed by Wayne Potts and just dropped off the face of the earth. On the other hand, he ran her for 50 and even a quarter. Now she's been bad. You can't defend her form. I'm just kind of hoping for a trainer who I've seen him win. I know he's 1 for 32. He's running a lot of horses that have no chance to win, and I've seen him win. I've seen his horses run well enough, and I just thought she might just need the drop and the new barn because what do you do in this race? Monpetit Choux ran fine last time.
Yes.
I'm not going to knock her. But she's also part of an entry with a horse who can win, who's off the claim in a drop down. And we both got them 3rd and 4th. But I'm not picking this entry.
No.
I'm not picking an entry on top. What do you do as you go through? I know.
I know.
People who like perpetual praise.
I
Why?
really tried.
Why?
I tried looking at this horse to make a case, and I think that the biggest thing that you could really say is, oh, well, Ray Handel and Dylan Davis are going well. Ray's
Yeah,
cooled
Ray's
off a little
running
bit.
great.
And
He
yet,
hasn't run that many horses
he hasn't run
since
that many
he was
recently.
winning, you know?
But, I mean, the last 2 races were just so bad, and she's lost her speed.
And the other thing is, let's go back to her win.
Yeah.
She wired a field at 3-2 in the slot
And
in
a
a
non-winners of 3.
$14,000 non-winner of 3. So people can say, well, she's dropping. Well, no, what she's doing
No.
is she's running in sort of a tougher spot
Yeah.
than her last win.
Yeah.
She's not winning this race with a 61 buyer.
I know.
And I agree. I think the thing you can say about her is, you know,
The
Dylan's
connections.
riding well, but
Yeah.
also race horses, and
Yeah.
you know, and she's coming in and she's had a little time. But when she now listen, she had no chance against Dolomite. On the other hand, she ran horribly while race horses were running off the screen.
Yeah.
So I mean, I wish her well. I always like to see Ray do well. Willful Desire, you've got all these drop downs
I
in here.
know.
You know, what do you do? At least you could say with our funny business. She's moving up a little off the claim, and you know, and then there's Backed by Gold, right? And we'll go back and see her win on April 13th. And she ran 2 races that would make her a huge player in here. And then she stumbles, she's vanned off, but now she's back, and she's back in a lower level. I wouldn't want to let her beat me, but I couldn't
agree.
pick her.
But she's tough to trust dropping off the layoff.
Yep. Yeah, but once again, she could win this
She
race.
could, absolutely. And to be fair, she was running for 12.5 last summer at Saratoga. It's not like this is her
No,
first
right.
time
This is
dropping.
where she belongs.
Yes.
She was in a
Yes.
12-5 waiver when she won this.
Right.
It's not like she's going to win a 25 claim or
Right.
so. And if somebody wants to claim her off that, so be it. But, you know, you talk about it from a pick 6 perspective, Keisha. What are you doing here?
This
I
is
mean,
a very tough race.
if you're
Yeah.
using 3 horses, I would probably use the 3, 6, and 9.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't exactly feel as though I was
would leave out the
anywhere
1?
close to gin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and leaving the 8 out.
Yeah.
And so it's an interesting race. I think
is.
it's a very fun race from a betting perspective. I can't imagine. I mean, David's got Fontana Fred at 5-2 feels like a horrible gamble.
I know.
But she's the worst to beat.
she is. She absolutely is.
Yeah, no,
It's tough to trust any of them, and that's kind of the nature of these types of races.
And the thing I loved also about it was I was sure. I remember looking at handicapping this race and thinking, I'm spending all this time at this race, and there are going to be 3 or 4 scratches, and I'm just going to be so
No,
annoyed.
it completely
and I
held
kept
together.
going back at
I
Naira
know.
Bets looking for
I know.
scratches and saying, wow, it held together. So it's a fun one. It really is
Yeah,
a very
it is.
competitive, interesting race. And race number 8, you know, Revelita.
I'll be honest, I was a little surprised you picked Revelita.
Well, show her. I mean, isn't she just supposed to beat these horses?
She is.
But
She
she's
is.
very hard to trust.
She is.
She was good last year. She never had
yeah.
particularly good trips, and maybe she just needed this race. And aren't Breathaway and Alluring Angel better horses
Yeah.
than these?
Oh, definitely much better than what she's
So
facing.
why
in
are you surprised
here.
I picked her? You just thought she was too obvious?
Well, because she has not won since she came to the States. I realize that she's been in graded stakes
Mm-hmm.
company prior to that, but she's one that it just feels like you're always waiting for her to take that step forward, and she just hasn't yet.
That's fair,
Mm-hmm.
but let's go back to the prerequisite race, right? She tried to close to a race where they dominated horses that saved ground, and she wasn't on the inside. She ran fine behind the loose lead Heavenly Sunday and the Edgewood.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, her Lake George, I don't know. She didn't have the best of trips in there, and she's supposed to beat those horses. So I feel like, but I'll tell you one thing about her. She doesn't win today. I don't want her. She's
know.
going to have to be in some pathetic field for me to take her going
Yeah.
forward because she's supposed to beat these
She
horses
is.
based on what they've done.
She is. She's supposed to have the class edge in here. Maybe she's just a horse that I've never warmed to.
Maybe you're right.
But, you know, I agree. Look, she was facing better last time out. She has been facing better. And I think a lot of attention will go to Beats because of the good buyer speed figure last time, because of her speed. And, I mean, you don't have her at all. She has to take a step forward, I
Beats.
think, when facing winners for the first time.
Well, we'll take a look at Beats. The problem I have with Beats is Collaboration and Bonadju are both in here. Do you really think that Romero is going to rate Bonadju
No,
in this race?
absolutely
He doesn't rate
not.
speed horses.
Absolutely
so
not.
I worried she's not going to have this kind of
Yeah.
trip in there, and I think the pace could be at least honest in here. And the other thing about her is she is such a last time was the time
Oh,
horse.
definitely.
And Bill's numbers are solid, if not spectacular. But here's one for you. Off a maiden win in a turf route at Saratoga, for what it's worth, he's 1 for 13 with 4 hitting the board and a 60-cent ROI. I just feel like she's going to have to run better in some more competitive pace scenario.
Agreed.
But you've taken a trainer, Tim Ham, who deserves a gold star for bringing the right horses here and having his
Amazing.
horses show up and run.
Absolutely. Just really, really well spotted. She's a horse that I saw down at Tampa this winter. And, you know, you talk about maybe horses that you don't necessarily warm to. She's one that I just really did. I just always really liked what I saw from her. She won sprinting, and I kept writing my notes that day. She wants to go longer. She wants to go longer. Then she came back and won going long the next time out at a big price. And after that went right into much deeper competition in the Florida Oaks. So last time out, I thought that she actually ran okay. She did stumble a little bit, but she was moving forward when she
to her
stumbled.
knees,
exactly.
so
I don't think
how
it was
much-
significant at all.
Sensational
No,
ride
she
from
absolutely
too
did.
in that race.
Absolutely did. And I thought that she would potentially be a little bit of a generous price in here. And I hoped that there was going to be some more pace, like you mentioned, with Beats and Bonadou and other horses in there.
Let's talk a little bit about Curlin's Girl, who you have fourth and I have second. I may just have a terrible opinion on this horse, but last time out, she ran badly, but it just felt like something went badly wrong.
Yeah.
She was bumped. She never ran. I actually thought she ran fairly well in the Memories of Silver, and I tried her in the Wonder again, and she was bad. But maybe she was too close to a pace that got a little bit hotter than expected and kind of fell apart in the late stages. I don't love her post in here, but I have to give her another chance because I've kind of been on her, and she's going to be a big price today.
She is, especially in this group when you're facing some classy types. And she is one that is coming out of stakes as well, which sometimes can be a little bit of an advantage. If you
What
want to
about the outside? Preliminary.
Oh, yeah. The 11 preliminary.
I've never loved her. Chad always liked her much more than I did, and I don't think she got the best of rides last time in Toronto, and obviously thing went wrong.
I mean, we haven't seen her in 13 months now, so she's coming back off the layoff. Usually that's no problem for the barn, the way that she's been training. She's a wild card in here as well.
Right. She's a total wild card. She does draw poorly in here. This is a fun race. I copped out with the favorite. Acacia's a little more clever than I am, at least clever in that.
Well, we'll
see who's more clever later
that
today.
That remains to be seen. That remains to be seen. And Dale Roman's birthday today.
Oh,
Since
happy
out the
birthday,
8th.
Dale.
Yeah.
Should we
Saw
sing
that on
happy
Twitter.
birthday to him?
I don't know if he would enjoy us singing.
I would like his daughter Bailey to come up for his birthday.
I haven't seen Bailey in
I
a long
love
time.
Bailey.
Yeah.
She's one of my
Yeah.
Bailey. Some of you may know Bailey. She was my roommate a number of summers here because I had a 2-bedroom, and Dale, she was never liked living in that spider-laden place that Dale had out by the lake, so she would stay with. She was a great roommate. Bailey and I had so much fun. I miss her.
Bailey's awesome.
She's great. And actually, Tammy said she might come at the last week, and I hope she does. She's the best. So race number 9. I think the first decision in race number 9 is. And I've got the horse second, and I scratched for second, and I may regret it, is Java Buzz.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, if Java Buzz runs back to this last race, he's gonna be very tough in here.
You want an example of last time was the time.
But I worry about the claim away from Linda by Rudy, who does not have good numbers off the claim on the turf, but he has done better with sprinters.
Yes, and the barn has heated up recently. That was off of a layoff, and for the 40,000, wired the field that day, just much the best that afternoon. Can he repeat that effort against these? That's my big question.
I don't know. And I scratched him for second. I thought the 5 was interesting because I have issues with the Feathers Road final verdict race. One thing I'll say about it is
Me too.
if I'm a little skeptical that the figure was as low as it was. But the problem is Rhythm Nick's the one who did all the running.
Yes.
And these horses
Was
had
decidedly best in
all
that
of
race.
them had
Yeah.
very good trips,
Yes.
particularly King Moonracer, who I
Yes.
needed for second, who couldn't have gotten a better
I
ride
know.
from Flavian. And
From that post, he was able to save a tremendous amount of ground.
But I've got them in there because I think there's a chance that this is a fig that could really be 6 to 8 points low, in which case they're going to be they should be shorter prices than they're going to be. Is that fair?
That's fair.
What are you doing with Borletti?
So I really struggled with this race. I think the horse that you
easy
have on
race.
top, Hilarious Affair, is a huge player. Borletti's recent turf race was behind Power Attack, who's a speed horse. I just kept going back to him, and I wanted to give him another shot. I know that the barn has not been going that great this summer.
That's my problem.
And I think that that's a big question for sure. But he's going to be a price in here. I think that there's a lot of horses that could potentially get lost in the shuffle in this race.
And he could be one of them.
And he's one that might kind of get dismissed. And he has some tactical speed. He's not going to be one that's going to be a victim of pace, that's going to be stuck very far closing. So hoping he could potentially get a good trip.
And, it's a funny thing about the race he comes out of. And I don't have him in there, but he could win this race. It's a very hard race.
Yeah.
The field behind him was a little bit dubious, but Power Attack came back with a win against better horses. And even though he dominated the front end, he dominated the front end in this race. And I don't love his chances, but I'm not. First of all, I wouldn't knock any pick in this race because I'm not totally convinced. You have my horse second, and I have obviously Hilarious Fair on top. I think this is a very, very interesting. I think this is a private purchase. This was bought away from different owners. So I thought it was interesting that Mike Maker, Paradise Farm, they went and bought this horse for whatever reason. And
Hard to ignore anything Mike Maker's sending out right
coming
now.
out of a race with X Speed, it's just, I mean, X Speed for our friend Mike Lerman has gotten really,
XY
really
Speed,
good.
yeah.
And I'm not sure that this horse might just not be a very, very interesting new face to this
Completely
crew.
agree.
So I went, and when there's a new face, the private purchase. But this is a tricky race. I tell you, this pick six, I mean,
Very tough.
here's the question. Who is the horse in the pick six that is going to be the most leaned on? It's not in race number 4, I don't think. I don't think it's in race 5. I don't think it's in race 6. It's
Is
probably
it Revelita?
it's probably Revelita.
Yeah.
And she's a tough horse to lean on.
Yeah, she is. She is. If you have a strong opinion in this sequence, all
And
the
you're
more
right.
power to you. Yeah.
No,
This is very tough.
This is a really, really
Very
interesting sequence.
tough.
I thought this was an excellent card today, and it
is,
just shows if we
yeah.
can just get some good weather here and keep things going forward, get some momentum for the second half of the meet, it's going to be a good meet because the cards all week are good, and this is an excellent card today. And
A good group for the Alabama this weekend.
yeah, I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to that as well. Obviously, it's the race number 10 of a 12 race card on Saturday, and the Lake Placid camp, a
Very
terrific race. I
strong,
mean,
yeah.
isn't she pretty? Isn't
She feels pretty.
She feels pretty. Is obviously the horse to beat in there, but there are some others that are improving. I thought Spaladay was improving for Chad in that
that's been
race. I
very good
thought she
form.
was dangerous,
Yeah.
but
good race.
Cherie does have the favorite and the horse to beat in there. Thanks a lot. We'll be joined up again in just a few minutes over on the front side with our friend Rajiv and Joe Clancy. Will be starting things out. It'll be nice to see Joe.
I know.
I've not had a chance. I think I was. For some reason, I'm not even sure I was on with Joe, but I should have been. I'm always on Wednesdays. Oh, we did it on Sunday.
Ah,
I wasn't
that's
on
right,
early,
that's
so I
right.
haven't been able to work with my good friend Joe Clancy, who
Yeah.
he is the man in the Saratoga Special, which we have here. If you are not reading the Saratoga Special, you should be. This is horseracing.com, and it's fun to read when you're in Saratoga. And if you're not in Saratoga or you're coming up sporadically, check it out.
Yeah.
It's really just a great paper, and they do a great service for us
really do.
and horse racing in general with their work on the special. Head over to Naira Bets, use the promo code SPA250, and we'll match the $250 of your initial deposit. Check out Track Stats, the work of Matthew DeSantis over at Naira Bets, of course, and Matthew is a whirling dervish of work. And appreciate his efforts. And
That's a great
he's-
description for him.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
is a whirling dervish. But no, he has really stepped things up, and it's greatly appreciated by many of us. Also, Kick 6 carryover, 107,469. Another member of the Acacia Clement fan club is buzzing around me and down there. And $10 bonus, 50 or more at Saratoga and Del Mar. Opt in for that, so you get $10 bonus, 50 or more if you bet on them. And Delaware, what did I say? Del Mar?
I wasn't
They're
paying
not running at
attention.
Del Mar. Acacia wasn't paying attention, but others were. I don't blame you. I wouldn't be listening to me. I clearly wasn't listening to myself either, Acacia, so I can't blame you. And we're on from 1 to 6 on FS2 with all the action. An absolutely glorious day kicking off Alabama week here in Saratoga. And it feels like a bee on my bald head. We're done. Frank Miramati's just getting started for week number 6. A gorgeous day. Have a great day in Saratoga.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.